Okay, let's learn about scatter plots and best fitting lines. And a scatter plot is something like this right here. So if you're studying something like this in your algebra course, well, you're definitely going to have to be able to deal with it. And kind of the topics involved is going to be finding the equation of a line. So this is something that deals with linear equations, i.e., knowing how to graph a line using y equals mx plus b, and then finding the equation of a line given certain information. So we're going to be looking to find the best fitting line, but I'm going to explain everything about scatter plots. We're actually going to do a example problem, and we're going to discuss these sub-skills that are very, very important to have, not only in algebra, but obviously to deal with a scatter plot problem, which you will have to deal with if you're taking any of these math courses. But before we get going, let me go ahead and quickly introduce myself. My name is John. I'm the founder of TC Math Academy. I'm also a middle and high school math teacher. I've been teaching math for decades. I'm telling you right now, there's no such thing as a bad math student, okay? Uh, all students can be reasonably successful in math, okay? So if you're struggling in math, failing in math, what it takes to be great at math, okay, is one, you got to work really, really hard at it. The second thing is you need great math instruction, clear and understandable, okay? So if you're at the middle school, high school, or even college level, I can help you out, okay? Check out my math help program. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description of this video. Also, if you're preparing for any sort of test, things with a math section on it, GED, SAT, ACT, ASVAB, teacher certification exam, anything like that, I have great test prep courses for mathematics. If you homeschool, I have excellent middle and high school homeschool math courses you may want to check out. And if this video helps you out, help me out by liking it and subscribing to my channel. All right, so let's get going and talk about scatter plots. So the first question is, what is a scatter plot? Well, let's look at this word right here, scatter. It's like, hey, things maybe were kind of scattered around. Well, that's effectively what a scatter plot is. We're plotting points on the XY plane, and it's kind of they're kind of scattered about here on this XY plane. But if you notice, when we're looking at this plot, okay, these points that are kind of scattered here, there appears to be some sort of trend going on, right? It appears to be like maybe the points here are kind of going in this general direction. And this is the main idea behind scatter plots. Okay, we're looking for trends of information that's being plotted. Okay, we're kind of saying, all right, can we make any kind of sense of that? And the whole kind of objective when we're dealing with scatter plots is to try to find one line, okay, that represents the basic trend here. Now, it's not going to be perfect. This line is not going to go through every single point because it's just impossible to have one line. Obviously, we can't draw a line that goes like this. So we're going to just try to find a line that kind of generally represents the best trend that's going on here. So if we think about it for a second, we're like, well, what points would we use? Would I use this point and this point? Well, no, because this line right here definitely doesn't represent what appears to be this type of trend with these points, right, that are being scattered about. But maybe if we use some other points here, maybe this point and let's say this point, we get a better line. It's at least closer to that representation. So what we're going to be doing here in a second is picking the best 2 points, and this could be somewhat subjective. In other words, one student could pick one set of points, another student could pick another set of points, but we're going to want to pick the best 2 points such that if we draw a line through those exact 2 points on this plot, this scatter plot, that would best represent the line. That's the best fitting line, not the perfect fitting line. But we're not done yet talking about scatter plots. So here, okay, there is a trend going on, and anytime the trend is kind of increasing this way, you want to think about like the slope of a line. Okay, so y equals mx plus b. When the slope is increasing from left to right, that slope is positive, okay? Well, we don't call this plot here having a positive slope because there's multiple little plots on this particular, it's a scatter plot, it's not just 2 points. But what we're going to do is use the word correlation. So this right here has a positive correlation because the general trend is like going with a slope that is positive. So what about This situation, what if you had a plot that was kind of like this? Okay, well, hopefully you say, well, it looks like the trend is this way, and you would be correct. So that is what we call a negative correlation. Okay, so that scatter plot has a negative correlation. This one here has a positive correlation. And let's suppose we were looking at just all of this in one color. Is there any correlation here? The answer will be, I don't think so. And you would be correct. There is no correlation. So when you're dealing with scatter plots, you can have positive correlation, negative correlation, or basically no correlation at all. There's really, it's just all over the place. So when there is a correlation, what we're going to try to do is to match or find a best fitting line, okay? So that's kind of the setup here, and let's go ahead and put some coordinates on this example problem. So what I'd like you to do, if you kind of want to play along here, is to identify, okay, 2 points such that if you drew a line through those respective points, it would kind of best fit, this pattern here, okay? So again, the general pattern, if you look at it, tends to it's kind of going like in this direction. So pick 2 points, okay? You don't have to actually find the equation to the line. Matter of fact, if you want to do it though, put your final answer into the comment section. That would be awesome. But anyways, pick 2 points that you think such that if you drew a line through those 2 points would best represent the trend here, okay, the plot. All right, so let's go ahead and answer this question, okay, by the points that I'm going to actually select. And again, this could be somewhat subjective. So I'm going to choose to use 3, 7, that coordinate, this point here, and this point down here, -5, -3. Of course, these are just kind of rough estimates on this little. I kind of freehand this here. It's not graph paper, so it doesn't have to be perfect. But let's say you use this point and this point. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, because our line would kind of go through there. All right, so let's look at some other options here. If you said, well, I use this point and this point, well, that's pretty good too, but we kind of want to get into the center of the trend here when it comes to best fitting lines in scatter plots. So here we have, if we connect this point and this point, okay, we find a line this way. If you look, we have like 3 points over here, and then we have like 3 or 4 points over here, okay? Now, just out of curiosity, what would we call a point like this? Let's say I had a point way over here, and this was on our plot. And let's say you were like concerned about that point. You're like, well, this trend here doesn't include this point. Well, this point right here, we would just identify or label as an outlier. Okay, so if you ever heard that term, an outlier, well, that's what it means. It's out, it's lying way over here. So we'll just kind of disregard it because the bulk of the data that we want to kind of represent with a line is right here. So we're going to use this point and this point. Now, the objective here, and this is where I'm going to be kind of testing your current algebra skills, is to find the equation of the line. I use this abbreviation FEL, i.e. to find the equation of the line. That's a y equals mx plus b line. We will always kind of like to write our lines in slope-intercept form. So we want to find the equation of the line in slope-intercept form, and the information that we're given is that this line passes through -5, -3, and +3, 7. So can you find the equation of a line that passes through these two points? If you cannot, well, then you really need to figure this out because this is a huge part of algebra. So a couple of recommendations. I'm not going to be able to thoroughly teach. I'm going to go over this, but you definitely need to do more beyond this video, okay? I have other videos on my YouTube channel. Any one of my algebra courses like Algebra 1, Algebra 2, I go over this super thoroughly, even in my pre-algebra course as well. So you can find that in the links in the description. I also have algebra notes that I kind of reference some of these steps in there as well. But let's go ahead and now find the equation of a line that goes to these 2 points, and that would be what we would classify as the best fitting line. Okay, so the best fitting line is a term that goes along with scatter plots. Okay, so let's get to it. Again, I'm going to use these 2 points here, -5, -3, and +3, 7. Okay, those are the 2 order pairs, the 2 coordinates that I'm going to be using. So let's go ahead and pick it up right here. All right, so now we want to find the equation of the line that passes through this point and this point. So when we find the equation of a line, okay, to find the equation of a line in algebra, and what we're looking for, again, is this y equals mx plus b form. Okay, this is such a great little form to write lines or linear equations in. So we're looking for this form of a line that passes through these 2 points. So to answer that question, okay, to find the equation of a line, you need 2 pieces of information, okay? You will need the slope of that line, and you need 1 point, at least 1 point that's on that line. Well, right now, currently, we don't have the slope. We don't know that, but we have 2 points that are on the line. Okay, so we need at least one. We happen to have 2, but we don't have the slope. So what we're going to have to do is to use our 2 points to calculate the slope. So you can always calculate the slope if you are given 2 ordered pairs. So this is what we want to do first. So go ahead and see how well you are with these other very important algebra skills. Can you calculate the slope between these 2 points? If you can't, it seems to me that you need to kind of brush up and get up to speed on linear equations and algebra. If you don't know this stuff, it's going to be really difficult to pass your algebra course. Okay, so just make note of what you know and don't know and review what you need to review. All right, so let's go ahead and find the slope between these 2 points. And again, I have tons of videos on all this stuff if you need to look at it more thoroughly. But here I'm going to go ahead and when I teach finding the slope, I like to underline 1 point. Now, the slope of a line is the rise over the run, if you recall. Okay, hopefully you remember that. But the rise is the changes in the y coordinates. These are the y's. Remember, we're talking about x, y points here. So these are the y's, and the run is the differences of the x coordinates. These are the x coordinates right there. Okay, these are the y's. So hopefully this makes sense to you. So let's go ahead and find the slope. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. When I find the slope, I like to underline a point to prevent making a mistake. You need to watch some of my videos on slope or check out my full algebra course because a ton of students make a ton of mistakes. They're really it's a common error in algebra to calculate the slope incorrectly. You have to be very, very careful on the order. Okay, so here I'm going to take the differences of the y's. I can either go -3 minus 7 or 7 minus a -3. Okay, I'm going to go -3 here minus this 7. Okay, remember you find the differences. Now, because I started with this -3 right there, when I go to find the differences of x's, my first x, okay, remember my first y here, it was -3. It came from this ordered pair. So my first x has to come from this ordered pair right here. So that's -5 minus this 3 right there, okay? And what students do is they mess up these orders. They don't think that order makes a difference and they get the wrong slope. Believe me when I'm telling you, I've been teaching this stuff for decades. I probably graded over 10 million quizzes, tests, homework. Well, maybe not that much, but you get the idea. So I see all the mistakes. So don't make these mistakes, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and continue on. So we have -3 minus 7. That gives us -10. -5 minus 3 is -8. And a negative over negative is positive. I reduce that fraction. I get 5/4. So my slope is 5/4. Okay, so a lot going on in this problem, but if you were able to do this, well, let me go ahead and give you a nice little lovely happy face for being an excellent math student, but we are not done yet. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue the process here. So again, we need to still find the equation of a line that passes through these 2 points, and to find the equation of a line, we needed the slope and at least 1 point. So now we have the slope. The slope is 5/4, so that's good. And we need at least 1 point. It's on the line. We have 2 points here that are on the line. So it's really up to you on which point you want to use. Try to use the points. Try to select the ordered pair that is a little bit easier. You know, here it's kind of a toss-up, but I'm going to go ahead and use 3, 7. Okay, again, I could use this point as well with this slope. I'll get the same answer. But I'm going to use 3, 7 and 5/4. Of course, that's our slope to find the equation of the line. Now, you have additional options. Once you have a point and a slope, you can use either the slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b, to find the equation of the line, or the point-slope formula. I really, really love this formula. I'm going to suggest that you always use the point-slope formula for most problems. when you are trying to find the equation of a line. So if you think you can use this, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can do this. I think that's the best use of watching this video. But let's go ahead now and use the point slope formula with this information to find the equation of the line. All right, so here we go. Okay, so here is our point slope formula. Again, these are all dedicated videos, dedicated lessons in all my algebra courses. So if you're not understanding stuff, you need to do more review beyond this video. All right, so we're going to be plugging in for this y right here. This is our y coordinate, so we're going to replace this with this. M is our slope. Okay, so we'll replace the m with 5/4. And then this x, this is our x right there. Remember, we're talking about xy ordered pair. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug in the respective values. For y, we plug in 7. For the m, we're going to plug in the slope, 5/4. And then this for this x here, we'll plug in 3. All right, so at this point, it's just a matter of doing algebra, which of course I know you're totally up to speed on. We're just going to go ahead and solve for y, or clean this up. So the first thing we want to do is the distributive property. So 5/4 times x is 5/4 x, and then 5/4 times 3 is going to be what? That's going to be 15/4. All right, hopefully you know how to multiply fractions. If you don't know how to deal with fractions, again, I have tons of stuff on this on all my channels, but make notes of what you're kind of a little bit shaky on. That's why you have to do these problems on your own. Watching me do it isn't going to be good enough. Be like, okay, I know this, I don't know that. All right, so now we have y minus 7 equal to 5/4x minus 15/4. So what do we want to do? We want to solve for y. So I need to add 7 to both sides of the equation. So that's going to be y equals 5/4 x minus 15/4 plus 7. So now I have a lovely opportunity to add some fractions. Okay, again, a skill that you're going to know how to deal with. But let's go ahead and show you that right now. Okay, so I need to figure out negative 15/4 plus 7, or 7/1. I can write 7/1. I need to get the same denominator, so I can multiply this by 4, this by 4. There's another easier way to do this called the bow tie method. I have one of my videos on my YouTube channel has all my fraction videos, I think, have 2-3 million views. So there's a lot of people that struggle in fractions. So if you need to review. All right, so I can write 7/1, or 7 as 28/4. So now I get the same denominator. So I have negative 15 plus 28. Negative 15/4 plus 28/4 is going to be 13/4. So now I went ahead and I simplified it by adding these two fractions. I have 13/4. Here's my slope. So y is equal to 5/4 x plus 13/4. What did we just do? Well, we just found the equation of line that went to those two coordinates, but this is the best fitting line. Not the perfect fitting line, just the best fitting line. So let's go ahead and wrap it up by looking at our scatter plot. And I kind of took out these other coordinates here. So we use this coordinate and this coordinate. We use 3, 7, negative 5, negative 3. And, when we drew a line through it, we thought that it, at least for me, it represented the trend, the scatter that's going on here in the best way, okay? It's not going to be perfect. Again, it's going to be the best. And so this is the linear equation, okay, of this best fitting line. So this is effectively it, okay? Scatter plots and best fitting lines. You absolutely need to know how to deal with this and additional stuff in algebra. But you can see here we used quite a bit of different skill sets. How to find the slope, how to use the point slope formula, et cetera, et cetera. So, algebra is, a continuum, right? It's connected. One skill, there is no such thing as something that you kind of just can disregard. So if you're having trouble with anything, the smartest thing you can do is to identify what you need help in, and then go back and relearn that. Okay, and that's where I can help you out. So again, if you need additional help on any of these topics, I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel. Teach this super thoroughly in all my algebra courses. And I do offer algebra notes as well. You can find links to all that stuff in the description of this video. But with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your mathematics adventures. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.